McLusky are a post-hardcore band from Cardiff, Wales. They had an existence from 1996 to 2005, then they stopped, and then they started again in 2014 and are still going. They have had a mostly stable membership and have released 3 albums. Hi, my name's Dan. So this was the second album by McLusky, and I know it somewhat because I've reviewed it before. So let's get a tiny bit of history, which is I started doing reviews a few years ago now because I got sick of listening to modern pop on the radio and decided I wanted to listen to better albums. And so I did a series of reviews on Facebook, which were of prog rock albums. I love prog rock. I then started a blog and was reviewing a list of the 1,000 greatest albums of all time, which was an amalgamated list, but it was me that amalgamated it, and I wasn't hugely confident about it. And then I found this list at Acclaimed Music, and so I restarted and I started doing video reviews. However, in that second incarnation in the blog, I reviewed this album. And as I often do when I've reviewed an album before, I went back and checked the review. I listened to it once, then I did some reading, checked that review, and I've listened a second time. The review that I wrote says exactly what I feel like I still want to say about this album, but it's cleverer than I tend to be in these video reviews. So what I'm going to do is something unusual, which is I'm going to read that review out, basically. I'm going to try and make sure it doesn't sound like I'm just reading out. But okay, so here we go. So with a cavalier disregard for the rules of harmony, McLusky assault their audience with shouting, vitriol, and noisy noise. They sound like they jump around the stage with a guitars down by their knees, antagonizing grannies by swearing and encouraging fights in the audience, possibly between the grannies. They sound like raucous, crunchy things, but they're not pure noise. There are notes, wailing grunge notes in the main. They are what you might get if you made a hybrid of Primus and 9 Inch Nails and the Sex Pistols. They sound like you might if you tried to growl and cough at the same time. And they're loud, they're very loud. The vocals are rarely sung, and even then only vaguely. Mostly they're shouted, and sometimes using that compression of dynamic and tone that makes it sound like a loud hailer, or if you're in America, a bullhorn, I believe they're called. This is music for kicking over bins to, or sorry, in America, trash cans, or if for playing really loud to annoy your flatmates. It's not music for knitting to, unless you're knitting barbed wire or chainmail. There are a few quieter bits when the dominant guitar is quiet or playing single notes, and you get a grungy bass line with drums. And at those times, they tend to lack tight timing. It's more about the kind of feel than about getting it precise. And at this point, you probably think that I didn't enjoy it. And if you think that, you'd be mostly wrong, because they have one saving grace. Actually, they've got 2. So I'm interjecting a few things in here. The big saving grace that makes all the difference is their sense of humour. It's a bit of a vicious sense of humour, but it is there, and it adds the missing element, the lack of taking yourself too seriously. So it's irreverent, and sometimes lack of skill is forgiven because now it's raw and edgy. There's little in the music itself, there is a little in the music itself and the way they play, but mostly this is in the lyrics. The other thing, so this is an interjection now, is the energy behind it. It's got brilliant energy, I would say. So I've got a dilemma at this point, which is, do I quote or do I not quote? So if I could guarantee everybody would actually go and listen to it, I would try and avoid quoting, because some of these lines would work best if they're taking you by surprise. But on the other hand, you're unlikely to go listen to it if I don't quote some. So my favourite 3 quotes here, and I have to do some editing for some of the language. Your heart has turned the colour of a Coca-Cola. Your heart has turned the colour of a dustbin. Excellent. Beep this band. They swear too much. That's in a track called Beep This Band, which is a good track. Your friends are all bleeps, and your mother is a ballpoint pen thief. Great line. So It can't be said that the humour replaces the anger, it only tempers it. It's definitely an attack on the world. It's having a chuckle as it does. Many of the words are hard to make out, but when you can, it's usually worth it because it's intelligent, it's unusual, and it's well crafted. But be warned, it is sweary and rude. So I quite like this album. And as always, I'd love to know what you think of the album, so please do tell me by leaving a comment. That's it from me for now.